Welcome to Hoopin with Christy and Debbie. We are in episode number 7,852 through the summer, it feels like, and we have with us one that needs zero introduction. She has statues, streets, sandwiches, probably a parkway, probably a tunnel, some bridge somewhere, and probably a golf hole named after her. It's the Nancy Lieberman Klein, the one and only Nancy Lady Magic. Welcome.
Thank you. It's always good to be around the people that love the game. This is the best part of it, is our friendships and the relationships and where we meet and where we cross and the stories we tell. So this is good stuff.
I love it. Yeah, well, Christy and I started this summer just to have some fun, right? Talk about the W, crank it out a little bit about what's happening around the game. Nancy, give us a little breakdown. Like, you can't go day by day because you're too busy, but tell us what you've been doing the last couple of weeks, Big Three, and all the things that you're involved in before we get to the Olympics.
Well, thank you for saying that. Yes, the Big Three started towards the end of June. So we were going every Saturday or Sunday in the Big Three. Power, our team, got eliminated a couple weeks ago. So now I get to either do the TV for the Big Three on X or CBS, and just watch the enormous talent in what Ice Cube has done, and to be a part of it. But we were talking before, to be able to coach my son for the third year in the Big Three is a blessing of blessings, and not too many people get to do it. Mom has to be at this level, and son has to be at this level, and here we are. Right. So I don't take anything for granted. I have a lot of gratitude to do this podcast. And I just love the fact that, it's 2024 and, people want you to do things all over the world. And as the game grows, ladies, it's growing us. It's making us more powerful within our own, calling of work, whether it's TV, whether it's doing podcasts, whether it's making appearances. I've never done more in my career on a high level than now. And, coaching at the Final Four in Cleveland, which was amazing for the women, and to be able to coach the seniors, the all-star team, was pretty cool, because we want to be around young people. They invigorate us. We want to know what they know, and we hope that they care about what we know. And that's a beautiful, beautiful thing called relationships. So we did that, and I just came back from New York. Actually, let me tell you what I did.
Yeah.
I have not been able.
Break it down. Tell us whatever you want.
This is actually cool stuff. So I have not been able to play in, you remember Jeffrey Osborne, the singer?
Oh my gosh, that's my day in college. I know exactly Jeffrey Osborne.
Okay, so Jeffrey's been asking me to play in his celebrity golf tournament for like 7 years, and I keep saying I can't. We're in the finals, we're in the playoffs, blah blah blah, and so we got beat. So Jeffrey, hey Nancy, is there still a spot for me? He goes, girl, yes. So I go to Rhode Island a week ago. This is crazy stuff. It's a beautiful charity that helps young children. And so I get there the first night. I had not been there, and Jay Harris has been there forever. So we've been talking about doing this together. So Jeffrey's on stage, singing and bebopping and doing, his voice is just elite. So he's singing his celebrities up on stage. So he's Jay Harris, and then, he talks about Jay, and then Nancy, and then he starts singing, well, Johnny Gill, New Edition, comes on stage. Then Master G. Master G was the first rapper before Master P, before Cube, before LL, before any Snoop. He is legendary on the East Coast. So Master G comes on stage, and he's like the OG of the rap game. Then we're Chris Tucker, and Chris Tucker, he's funny. I keep saying, where's Jackie Chan? And he goes, Nancy, stop that. How he talks really high, and he does that Michael Jackson, and he loves to sing, and he's just funny as funny. That's Chris Tucker. Smokey Robinson comes on stage. So, and then there's Jeffrey. And so I look at Jay Harris and I go, am I the only white girl on stage? When you take your camera and like put the video on, and I'm going to give some of this. And I need you to do that so it looks like I'm involved. I had the greatest time. And these were like the kindest, most humble superstars. And I am just grateful to be around such legendary singers, men, comedians. It makes me happy. And you could just see the vibe in the room. There's a lot of friendships there. Then I went to New York, went to Brooklyn, where I was born. And Under Armour had the Elite 24 high school all-star game for men and women. And again, here I am. I mean, I love going home to New York or going to Rutgers, or just like, I talk to you like this and I get home and go, yo, what up? How you doing? Things good? Yeah. Like, and they're like, that is awesome. TJ's always asking me to talk New York. I'm like, TJ, get me some water.
Yeah. That's my husband. Anything that ends in an A ends in an R.
Yes.
Arena. We're going to play basketball at the arena. No, arena.
North Carolina. I used to say in college at Old Dominion, North Carolina. They're like,
North Carolina.
no, it's an A.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, it is? How is it? Spell it for me.
Oh my God.
Nancy, you know what?
Oh, go ahead, Kenny.
I was just saying, give us a scouting report on Christy's kid, because we've been talking about Jordan, right? Break it down a little bit for us.
Okay. Now, I didn't get to see a lot of the men's games because, I had my team and we had activities, and Team Fire was doing their thing. But I did get a chance to sneak and meet him, talk to him. TJ said he saw him play just a little, but it's what Christy said. It's an all-star game. If you're a bigger guy, go to the corners. And they ain't giving you the ball in the corner.
No.
It's an all-star game. It's on ESPNU. They're not giving you the ball. The handles are coming left and right. There's no time score possession mentality.
No.
And I need to show out. And if I can't get it done, here, 3 seconds on the shot clock.
Grenade.
I think it hurts some of the guys who are actually really team and concept players like Jordan. And you just kind of have to suck it up and get an offensive rebound or run the floor and get a layup or defend or multiple efforts. And that will get the attention of people who actually know the game. Yeah. So it was exciting for me to meet your son. He's so handsome. Oh. And you are such a super cool mom. Really, for us to be able to connect and see each other was gold.
Oh my gosh. And first of all, I just had a glorious weekend in Brooklyn. You're talking about the A at the end of everything. I don't think I was called Ma more than my own kids called me Ma when I was walking to get some coffee. Hey, Ma. I'm like, oh, hey, I was Ma in Brooklyn all weekend. So that was fun. Or mommy, somebody said. Anyway.
That was me. I said that to you, mommy. I was hungry.
I'm like Ma and mommy, like outside the house, which was a great weekend. It was fun. But no, just to be able to connect with you there was amazing for me. And sitting on the bus with you or bumping into each other at the meals or in the gym, just to see you with your son. I mean, that whole full circle situation there in your hometown was a beautiful thing. But for you to continue to plant seeds and continue to pioneer the game and gatekeep our beautiful game the way that you have, I just want to thank you. I don't know if I said that there, but I was certainly thinking it every time, every breath I was taking in your space. So in your presence. So I just appreciate you. And I just love the fact that you're remaining so close to the game, and we need that. And we need your stories. You had some great stories on the bus that I can't even begin to tell back. But I mean, just to hear you say, you are one of our pioneers of the game for sure. And the game has grown in leaps and bounds, and the $2.2 billion contract now for media rights for the WNBA was just signed recently. And, you told me, you said, I wouldn't want to go back. I wouldn't want to change it and flash forward and be in this era of basketball. And you said that you were an unpaid pioneer. And Nancy, that has stuck with me because I too am one of the unpaid pioneers.
But you are. Debbie Antonelli is an unpaid pioneer. Not to say, Debbie and I have probably made millions of dollars, in broadcasting over time. I mean, I'm so blessed. I walk in my house and I'm like, this is unbelievable.
I've been to Nancy's house and it looks like nobody lives there.
Okay.
Not the new one I just bought 2 months ago.
Oh,
it's so clean and perfect.
This thing is a monster. And he was like, are you downsizing? I said, no.
I'm going to be in Dallas soon, Nancy.
Wait, you have a room here. Wait, it's like being at a resort. It's crazy.
Oh my God.
Maybe I'm a little crazy, but
No.
happy crazy.
Happy.
But I do want to say something about the players. It's important for my generation, Debbie's generation, your generation. We have to celebrate these amazing young women. We must not tolerate them. It's not their fault that there's an expectation that there'll be a W. It's not their expectation they should fly on a private jet. It's not their expectation. They're not wrong to want higher salaries. This is just the progress of time. And, you know, Billie Jean and I love her. And the fact that when I was 22 years old and I was at the French Open with her when I first met her, and she looked at me, she goes, "You have a lot of work to do." And I was so young and dumb. I'm like, we just won 2 national championships. She goes, "Nancy, you have work to do. It is your job to uplift this game and affect people's lives." And I wasn't sure I knew what she meant in totality. I understand God doesn't make mistakes in my life. I am the right person for the right job at the right time. I wanted to be the greatest basketball player ever because I had such a shitty childhood that I was hiding from the Antonellis of the world, you know, with no father and no food and no heat, no electricity. So I hid behind, I'm Nancy Lieberman, and you know, but I was broken and I didn't have conflict resolution. You know, mental health was not a thing. So I was in fist fights every day in the streets. And this game saved my life. And, you know, I'm going to read you something that Malaysia sent me last night. She goes, "Coach Nancy, thank you so much. I appreciate you reaching out to me and making me feel so comfortable all weekend long. I also want to thank you for paving the way for me and for other amazing athletes to be noticed. I love you." I about cried.
Absolutely. Oh.
About cried when a young woman like this, is she a sophomore? Sophomore.
South Carolina.
Actually, right, when young people care about us, it just gives you chills. It just, if you don't have a pulse, you can't have emotion.
Right.
Caitlin, my relationship with Caitlin or Satu or Enrique or Sabrina, and when Candace Parker tore her ACL in high school, when she was in Chicago, I called ESPN. I said, "I need that young lady's phone number." What year was that, Debbie? When she was?
That would have been
04?
04 or 03.
Before she went to Tennessee.
Yeah.
Okay. So I call her house and her mom, I go, "Hi, my name is Nancy Lieberman." Her mom was like, "Oh my God." And Candace and I were she was on the phone with me for about 30 minutes. Her mom said she was on the floor with her legs up on the couch and she was like talking to her best girlfriend. And I just felt compelled to call her because like in 2000, we really didn't have the power of the Sue Birds or the Stewies or the Greiners or Tamika Catchings. It was still kind of like Cheryl, me, Wood, Lynette Woodard, Ann Myers. You know, there was just a handful of players that people knew. But we can't have progress if it's only Jackie Robinson. And, you know, Becky and I used to talk about it. I said, if you're the only coach in the league, we have failed. We have failed. Right. There has to be, you know, there has to be more that come after and in numbers. And this is where the game is in 2024. And I'm so proud of it. I'm proud of what you ladies have done on the TV side. And our pay has gone up incrementally, right? I mean, but we should be paid what the guys are being paid to do TV. And I just think that we hoped and they expect, and it's okay to expect respect, to you know, have equality in pay. And our friends, you know, I'm a fighter for, you know, social, racial justice, because you can't say nothing to me. What are you going to say to me at 66 years old? I was raised by the Black community. They changed my life. I'm not on this podcast with somebody at Rucker Park going, Fire, you can do this. You can do this. While other people were saying you're stupid and dumb and you're never going to make anything of yourself. Black community was rock solid, taking me, riding the trains with me, protecting me, encouraging me. So, we've raised over $11 million with my charity for the Black community in 12 years. We've sent 100 high school seniors to college.
Nancy, I know that you believe, because of all the conversations we've had through the decades, that giving is a skill, and you've already referenced your foundation. I don't know if people know how much time and effort and energy you put into helping others, but the dream courts make me cry every time I see you give them out, because it's not like dropping in a community and doing a clinic and leaving. It is leaving a lasting impact that will influence and impact, who knows, countless number of kids. Tell us a little bit about where that came from, why you do it, and the $11 million. I'm proud about raising $1 million for Special Olympics here. It took me 6 years. You've already raised $11 million in, what you say, 10 years?
About 12 years.
Crazy.
But you know what? If you two accept the mission to come to Dallas on September 14th and you come to Dream Ball, we're honoring Lisa Bluter and Jason Kidd. We'll raise $1.5 million that night. And Debbie will make a donation to your charity.
Oh my goodness.
There'll be 700 people in the ballroom. Crazy. Last year we had 14.2 billion media hits. I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say, but it's a thing. The Dream Courts. So I was telling you about myself. Everything with Nancy Lieberman Charities for Children is things that happened to me in my life. The scholarship to go to Old Dominion. So we've given 100 scholarships. It'll be 110 by that Saturday night in Dallas. The basketball court is where I felt most safe. Like I was growing up, I didn't know if I was going to kill you. I didn't know if I was going to kill me. I was angry. And being on that court changed my life because it gave me like a presence. It gave me a chance to breathe. It gave me a chance to have accountability, reliability, and just to express myself without any condemnation from people going, what's a little white, redheaded Jewish girl doing on a court with Black people? And then bam, I was getting in fist fights because I'm Big Mike from The Blind Side. I have protective instincts,
right,
and I'll fight if I have to fight. That's just the DNA. I don't know if it's good or bad, but it's the DNA of who I am.
Right.
And I was always, you can't insult my people. You just can't. So, the Dream Court is, we started that and it was just a court. And then, like 4 or 5 years later, it hit me. This is not a court. This is a pop-up classroom. Oh. Where when I was at PS 104, I wouldn't raise my hand to answer a question because if it was wrong, kids are mean. They'll laugh at you, make fun of you. And then I get in fist fight again. So I would never raise my hand. But when I went on the court, I could breathe, I could move, I could spin, I could change things in the air. I am a critical thinker because of basketball. I know inertia, I know angles. I know if I have more points than you, I win, you lose. I know all the critical things you have to know. And so you know what they are? Like we have STEM, we have financial literacy, we have kids and cops programs, we have career readiness and civic engagement, and they're all accredited programs. And we have 130 of these courts open, and we have over 5.5 million children a year on these courts. And they're there for generations. One generation is going to hand it to the next generation. Like think about the parks where you guys grew up and played, you drive by and you're like, man, that's where I got my start.
Yeah.
We hand that stuff down to the next generation. And when we donate it, it's yours. It's not mine. Take care of it, protect it. Don't let anybody graffiti it. Don't let anybody, shoot the backboards out. And it's really a safe place, especially today. I got this letter and it was handwritten and it says, "Dear basketball lady, I don't know who you are, but I'm on your dream court and I'm having a lot of mental health issues and depression. And I come here at night to breathe. And I just sit on the court at all hours of the night. And I saw your name on it. And basketball lady, I don't know who you are. And he goes, but I say he, I don't know if it's a guy or a girl. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for giving me a place that I can just relax. The letter kept saying breathe.
Yeah.
And I'm so appreciative. Thank you again. I don't know who it is, but I bawled my eyes out, just call me basketball lady. I don't really care.
Magic. Listen, the game is still cathartic for me. Just being in the gym, it just lifts my spirits just to be around that positive, unified energy. But you've done that, not just with the courts, but I know with the Mambacita organization, we were discussing that when we were in New York recently as well. And just explain the connection that you had with Kobe as the girl dad, as the linchpin to the continuous respect that the women's game has garnered from the men's game.
Well, you just hit on a topic that's, really hits my heart. So, I didn't have a dad growing up. So really Muhammad Ali became my hero at 10. And then through the grace of God, we meet when I'm 21 and I'm at college. And we're the two headliners doing an appearance for the Olympic Committee at the New York Stock Exchange in December of 79. I couldn't breathe when I met this guy. This was Muhammad Ali, and I couldn't believe he actually cared about me. So that friendship he guided me through everything, not to play in the ABL, to play in the WNBA, to play at 39, to play at 50, to do certain things. Ali was a great lightning rod for me, and he just loved me and cared about me so much. And I can't believe I'm telling you that I had 37 years with Ali, holding him, telling him how much I love him, feeding him, wiping his face those last 5, 6, 7 years, putting his bib on, just sitting watching basketball games with him. And so he was that person that guided me. And when I really lost Ali, Kobe, again, God doesn't make mistakes. Kobe entered my life. And I don't know, Deb, if you know the story, but it's 2016, 15, 16, and I'm, signed by the Sacramento Kings. So it's my first game, and we have an exhibition game with the Lakers in Las Vegas. It was so exciting. So I go out to warm up Rondo because, you morph into your 4 or 5 players that are yours. There's the list in the locker room. This is when Bellinelli shoots. This is when DeMarcus, Rudy, Trill, all these guys. And so I go out with Rondo and I start running back to the locker room because I have like a 10-minute break. And there's a young guy by the curtain. He goes, "Stop." And I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Only the coaches and players can be back there." And I'm like, "But I'm the coach. I'm assistant coach." He goes, "Ma'am," and he gave me the eye. He goes, "Do you have a pass?" And I went, Sacramento Kings.
Well, you do this, did you, Nancy? You thought about it.
I might have. I was kind of like taken back. Well, as this is unfolding, Kobe's coming in, and he looks at me. He goes, "Hey, sister." I go, "Could you help me?" And he comes over. He goes, "What's wrong?" I said, "He won't let me go to the locker room." And Kobe, I didn't have to say anything else. He goes, "Young man, you are a man of color, and you don't like when you're discriminated against. She is the second female in NBA history to coach a team. You're going to encounter people that you don't think look like should be here. Don't you hate that? She needs to go to the locker room. She has a job to do. And we're just going to learn to get." I was like, wow, okay. So he lets me go. Kobe hugs me. He kisses me. I'm like practically held my hand to the locker room. And that took our relationship to another level because in 2008, when I played at 50, right? I'm playing, Deb.
I know, 10-day contract. I know, because Nancy, I got a 10-day contract with the Indiana Fever when you got one. They gave me a jersey. It said D. Nelly on the back, but they never let me play.
Oh, too bad.
Well, Minnesota wanted me to play too. But Minnesota like hopped on that bandwagon, which was really nice of them. And so I called Deion Sanders. I go, D, I like have these 2 offers. He goes, who's on national TV? I said, the Detroit team. He goes, sister, he calls me Fancy Leaves. He goes, Fancy, you're playing for the Detroit Shock and it's your team anyway. And it makes sense. So unbeknownst to me, I play in the game against, Houston.
I remember.
Tina Thompson, everybody.
Yeah.
And on Monday, I go back to my real job for ESPN. So Mark Jackson, Van Gundy, and, we're in the coaches interviewing Phil Jackson. And I'm walking down the hall and somebody says, hey, Nancy. And I go, hi, Kobe. And he says, do you have 15 minutes? And I'm thinking, I got as much time as you need. But I said, yeah, no problem. We go into this little side office. I'm like in a think tank. He goes, why did you play? How did your body feel? What did you eat? How many hours a day? What was your sleep pattern like? Were you irritable? Were you scared? Were you nervous? He had a line of questions for me. And he goes, Nancy, Natalia, Vanessa, and I watched you play. And he goes, I want to know why you did this. And I said, I'm a lot like you. I'm not afraid. I said, Ali told me when I was 21 to respect everybody and to fear nobody. And that's what I've done my whole life, sir. He goes, you weren't afraid of your reputation? I said, no. I think I respected the W players so much that I trained for almost a year for this. I said, 2 things can happen. I could play or not. I can make a pass or not. I can knock down a shot or not. I'm a minimalist. I don't get caught up in all the mind monsters that sometimes people have. And he literally, we swapped numbers. And, Kobe would call me and said, hey, let me ask you a question. And I'm like, you're the MVP of the NBA and you've just won another championship. But Kobe was non-discriminatory. If he could take something that you went through and apply it to his life, to his game, to his family, then he had that ultimate respect. Now, I'm sure, like he told me, there was stuff that he, he didn't respect certain people, as you know, because somebody would walk in the gym. He'd walk in the gym at 4:00 in the morning, and people would be coming in from the clubs at 4 a.m.
Yeah,
that's why he said, I didn't trust you.
Details.
Right. It's all about the details. And, he has a great sense of humor besides being like Rain Man. And so we're playing the Clippers. When we played the Clippers, they would put me and Becky in the Lakers locker room. When we played the Lakers, they'd let us use the Clippers locker room. So one day I go into the locker room and I have my blouse and my skirt and my heels. And I'm looking all around the locker room, and Kobe has a double locker. So I put my skirt, my heels, everything in his locker. Click, click. I have the picture right here. And I send it to him and I go, hey, Cobes, if you want to talk about anything, I'm here for you. And he goes, take that stuff out of my locker. And I go, is that yours? He goes, Nancy Lieberman, I know you. You're the Mama Mamba. You're coming after me. And he goes, you're going to put that on the internet. I go, no, I was going to send it to Vanessa. That's worse. And we just started laughing. I never put the picture out. And so we had built this relationship.
Why did he have a double locker, Nancy?
Yeah.
Because he was Kobe Bryant. He needed room, and he was the only guy. Derek Fisher didn't have it. Nobody else had a double locker. It was nice. And Kobe got what Kobe wanted. I mean, heck, we all landed in Los Angeles almost at the same time. And all of a sudden they're like, you have to stay. I felt like I was a puppy. Stay. Like, why are we staying? His helicopter was landing. So Sacramento had to stay on the plane until the Lakers got off the plane and Kobe could go on the helicopter to take him to his home. Mm-hmm. But you should have seen us. We were just like super cool. I mean, DeMarcus and Rondo, everybody had their cameras and click, 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 Kobe's helicopter.
That's cool.
And, so he was so good to me, and we stayed in touch. And, y'all know the story that TJ thought I died on the helicopter because we had been texting Friday night. We had some guys in the studio at Fox, and they were like, hey, can you believe, Matt Bonner and Greg Buckner, and they're watching their games and I'm doing my game. They're like, can you believe that Kobe said women can play against guys? And I went, I'm here. Just right behind you. And they're great guys. And I was like, I didn't have my prime. It was 17 years before I got to play in the WNBA. I was 39 as a rookie. Mm-hmm. I said it wasn't doable, but I did it. I played against men. I played for the Lakers. I played for Pat Riley in 1980 in Summer League. I played for the Jazz with Frank Layton 2 years in the USBL. You think I wanted to get my ass kicked playing against guys, picking up a charge on Karl Malone? You think that's fun? Or getting hit with a screen from Mark Eaton? I didn't have a chance to play. That's the only wish that I could have had, that I could have played against Taurasi and played against Antonelli and played against Christy and played against some of the great players, in my prime. But I didn't have that, and it's okay.
Right. It's amazing to me, Nancy, that it's hard to believe at 39 that you could be a rookie in this league. And I remember when Cynthia Cooper came over after 12 years of playing in Italy and all over Europe, and she was an older rookie. When you look at what Taurasi's done and to get to the Olympics a little bit, about being 42, or Lauren Jackson at 43, that means nothing to you, right? That's just a number, because the way you think and the way you played later on into your career, for the longevity of your career. What's your thoughts about playing into your 40s?
Well, I think anybody who can play into their 40s, one, is blessed. You've avoided major injuries. You've taken care of your body. You understand what the path is. That's why I look at LeBron and I'm like, man, I tip my cap to this man for what he's doing. And if he wants to play with his son, Bronny, if that's the one ask that he has after 20 years, who cares? Right. Let him play with Bronny. I want to coach TJ. We've poured into this game, and we're not asking you to cheat the rules. We're just saying this would mean a lot to us. It meant a lot to Diana Taurasi to, go out on her terms internationally. I mean, I wrote her a text the other day. I said, D, I'm paraphrasing. I was like, I am just so overly grateful for everything you've done and poured into this league, and how you've carried yourself, and what you've done in the W, what you've done on an Olympic level. Just thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything that you've had to endure going overseas. You lifted the level of how, people have to have that professionalism, and she's had that professionalism. So that makes me happy when, myself or Cooper or some of the older players, it's okay. She'll know when she's ready. Right. And I think we have to let her make that decision. Very few players get a choice like that. But if there's a few in this world, then I think Diana Taurasi gets to go out on her terms. We owe it to her. Now, conversely, I was the youngest. I'm still the youngest Olympic basketball player ever. 17 when you were played on the 76 team. Yeah, I was 16 on the Pan Am team. They said, we're going to Bucaramanga, and I go, what? They go, it's South America. It's south of Brooklyn. It's South Bronx. No, it's South America. And we land, and they put our luggage on a cart that had donkeys pulling it to the hotel. And I'm like, and Pat Summitt was my teammate. Yeah. And I'm like, how does the donkey know where my luggage is going? And she goes, Nancy, you're just going to have to just wait to see what happens. I said, yeah, but what happens if it's a donkey who's trying to steal my luggage? I was so young and dumb. I'm almost embarrassed to share that with you. We know some stories about you being young and on the Olympic team, Nancy. I mean,
you had so many great mentors that helped you along the way, including Billy Moore. And I know we miss Pat and Billy. We miss people like that. We miss Ann Donovan. We miss, there's a lot of people who go down the list.
I don't even think you knew Lucy, right? None of you knew Lucy Harris.
No, Sue Gunter.
Sue Gunter, my roommate, Charlotte Lewis. Charlotte Lewis, she was 6'2". She could dunk any way you want. And her hands, she's from Illinois, and her hands were registered in the state of Illinois as lethal weapons. And I was like, I want her as my roommate. and Billy Moore's like, what? I go, yeah, could Charlotte be my roommate? Seriously. But Lucy was my vet. Everybody has a vet. Okay. More for some reason on the men's side. Like you can ask anybody, ask LeBron, who was his vet, ask Caron Butler, ask Allen Iverson. Everybody has a vet that took care of them or bought them their first suit or taught them how to order at certain restaurants. It's really kind of cool. Lucy would just quiet like a church mouse and she'd walk into my room because I'd be the lip hanging down. She goes, Nancy, they don't want to play baseball with you. We've just had 6 hours of practice. But doesn't anybody want to play it with me? And she go, no, they're tired and they all have ice packs on them. Oh, so nobody's going to play? Nancy, no, a dinner will be in 3 hours if they don't kill you. Oh, okay, so leave everybody alone. And then after that, Pat would walk in my room. Nancy. I was like, what? I don't hear, I can't understand half the stuff you're saying. And she was a great mentor also. So we're on the bus going, to Warrensburg, Missouri. And there's this grass and we're looking out the windows. We're in training camp and I'm in the front of the bus because I had no friends. And they're in the back of the bus chopping it up. And Pat goes, isn't it pretty how the grass is so beautiful? I tried as long as I could. And I went, you've been talking about grass for like 10 minutes. It's green. And she goes, Nancy, it's beautiful. I said, yeah, but you've been talking about grass for like 10 minutes. It's green. And she goes, Nancy, I grew up on a farm in Henrietta, Tennessee. And, Richard Head, my father, and, she goes, we just grew up in different environments. You grew up in New York and there was a lot of buildings and brick and cement. She might have said cement. And I was like, what'd you say? Oh, if you could have had these conversations somewhere, they're priceless. So she goes, Nancy, so when I go on the farm when I'm young, my dad makes me slap the pigs. And I said, so we do have something in common. And she goes, what? I go, I slap people too. I'm always slapping people. And she said, what are you talking about? I said, you slapped a pig. You punched a pig. And did the pig try to bite you? And she goes, Nancy, I fed the pigs. I said, you didn't slap a pig? She goes, no, I slopped the pig. I fed the pig. And I look at Sue Gunter and I go, she went in a fight with a pig? And Gunter just lights up a cigarette.
Yeah.
Okay, Nancy, come up here, sit with Gene Rollins and Billy and me. Just sit up here. Okay. And I look at Pat and I'm like, never happened with a pig? She goes, Nancy, you've got to just leave me alone.
That is so great. That is so great.
Yeah, it is 50 years later. It's great.
Yeah, but in 50 years later, almost in as many years ago as that was, 8 gold medals for women's basketball. And just how amazing is that? And I know that the gold medal game was a 1-point win for the USA. What is your take in terms of the other international teams kind of closing the gap on the US in terms of their skill set, in terms of more pros on those international teams from the WNBA representing their countries for the Olympics?
Well, I commend USA basketball, Jennifer Williams and Grant Hill and Jim Tooley. I just really commend them for what they've done, and even Jerry Colangelo and Coach K for all these years. we know we're mentors. We're mentors worldwide. And David Stern knew this when they opened up the games in 1988. He knew that this would make us a global entity, and it would have long-term sustainability and financial ramifications for everybody on the plus side. Mm-hmm. But he also knew that we were going to start teaching our game. And, look at how many coaches go overseas, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, Christy, she was Christy Sides in Russia coaching, right?
She had been, yeah. She was over there with Pokey.
Exactly. So, so many of our coaches, just like on the men's side, have gone over there. How many clinics do we do? Just so much teaching. I talked to Steph the other night. He's getting ready with Under Armour to go to China for 2.5 weeks. And he's going to do clinics. And we're teaching the world how to play basketball. So the world has caught up on many levels to us. But is there anybody in the world better than Asia Wilson right now? Anybody? No. If somebody raises their hand, I'm going to debate. This is an incredible woman. She is unbelievably consistent. I went in for 2-3 days with the Aces in training camp. Becky was kind enough to let me in. And I sat there and just marveled at the professionalism of that team, of what Mark Davis has done. He's really raised the level of how women should be treated, from the facilities to the uniforms to everything that they've done. And of course now, they're doing that, with the net, I should say, with that organization, with the Liberty. Everybody's like, we practiced, right, Christy? We practiced in the Liberty's facility and the Nets facility, and it's off the chain.
So good. Yeah.
So much is changing around us, but we have to still, stay firm into our discipline, why we're playing. We always have to put the why out there. Why am I doing this? Why am I coming to practice today? Why am I trying to win 3 in a row? Why am I trying to have the best podcast that anybody's ever had? Just, we don't, as Americans, especially on the highest level, we don't just mail it in. Well, I'm just going to hop on this show with them because I'm friends with them. This is the most important podcast, and I do thousands. This is the most important podcast that I'm doing right now in this time, in this space, because it's yours and because of what you want to do to help people and enlighten people, whoever you are, your viewers. That means something to me. And that's why, 4 days later, I'm on this show, because I just appreciate everything, your dedication to this game. And we have to share these stories because we're going to lose people. I've lost Lucy. I've lost Pat. I've lost Gunter. I've lost, Billy. I've lost Charlotte. I've lost so many people. We have to tell you, like now, Debbie and Christy, you'll be telling these stories. Well, Nancy, we were just talking, and she was telling me these stories. It's like, how would you know? I don't want to die. I don't want Ann Myers to die and go to the grave and have all this. This is who we are in our history.
Yes.
Right. You don't know where you're going if you don't know where you came from.
Period. That part.
And that's what, trying to spend time, Kelsey Plum, every day I send her a passage every single day for the last 7 months, every day, on her good days and her bad days, because she's my baby sister. And sometimes in life we need, people can look at me and go, hey, everything's great with Nancy. Sometimes I need a phone call. Hey, Nancy, how you doing? Are you all right? You okay?
Sure.
Yeah. We need to check in on strong people sometimes.
Yes.
Amen.
Right? Because we hide.
Yeah.
So, you talked about all the things that I get to do. I maybe 30 years ago, I'd be like, it's because that's not me. I wanted to be the greatest of all times. And that's what I was supposed to be in that time in my life when people are like, you're the greatest basketball player of all time. I don't really care about that right now. I want to be as good a person as I can be. Mm-hmm. I'm sure I burnt a lot of bridges with a lot of people because I just had that Mamba mentality. And women were not ready for
That's
that.
it.
Come on.
In the 80s, 90s.
That's it right there, Nancy. You're the greatest entrepreneur our game saw in the early part. No one was doing what you were doing or putting yourself in.
Pissed at me. Some people are still pissed at me because I wanted to make millions and millions of dollars because the more I make, the more I can give, the more I can do. You know, I want, you know, like I love what Tamika Kitchings does. I love what you do. And there's got to be more. We have to show them a path. I'm not dying with my. You ever felt?
Listen,
I'm not dying with is what I'm saying.
As you've been speaking this whole time, I've been jotting down notes because you just drop little nuggets here and there that are things that we can come back and reference. And because you're such a great entrepreneur and a big thinker with wide vision, I want to throw this at you as an idea because I want you to come back. And when you come back on our podcast, what Christy and I'm spitballing here with you, Christy, and I'm putting you in this sentence with me.
Let's go.
I want to play like the name drop game with Nancy. Like, let's throw a name at Nancy and give her 1 minute to tell a story. Somebody in the history of the game. Wouldn't that be fun to have like while you were talking about 76, I always think about that picture of Pat and Uliana Semenova. Like, tell me about Semenova, playing against Semenova, 7'4" Russian, the biggest woman in the history of women. She has to have been the biggest person ever.
Yes. Oh, so we get to the village in 76 and they said, bring a lot of jeans. I'm like, how many jeans can I bring? They go, you're going to be trading jeans for pins. I still have my little bucket hat with pins from all over the world. Yeah. And the Russians just wanted our jeans back in 76. So you could trade almost anything. So I'm in the Russians' room with Uliana Semenova. And they had told me, this could be just folklore, but they had told me that her fingers were so thick that you could take her ring off and put a Kennedy $50 through it.
Stop.
So you know me, I need a Kennedy $50. What room? What room is she in? What wing? And they're like, Nancy, please. I said, somebody must have a Kennedy $50. So they find one from somebody. I knock on the door. Is Uliana Semenova over there? I don't even know how to say her name. And she opens the door and I'm like, hello, I play for America. And I go in her room and we start talking. I have jeans. We're talking. I go, ring. And she gives me her ring. And I took and I put it through her ring. And I said, take as many jeans as you want. Don't hurt me. And I left and went downstairs.
Full disclosure, we had a little technical difficulty with Nancy. She did disclose to us in the podcast that she has a brand new big house. Yeah. I don't think the Wi-Fi gets to parts of her house yet. It's so big. So we're just going to get her back at some point and we're going to play the name drop game with Nancy Lieberman. I think that would be fun. What do you think?
I love that. And she has a lot of names to drop. Listen, and she's so much fun to talk to. And she is full of all the stories and her story of our game resides right in her heart. And I love talking to her. She is so funny, but she is so genuinely in love with the game as we are. So it was just a treat to speak with her today.
I mean, I tried to write down a lot of the things that she said. It's so great. It is a lot of name dropping of history, and I'm not saying it to be malicious in any way. I think it's amazing. I actually think that our viewers and our listeners should throw some more names at us, and we'll continue to get these pioneers that have been unpaid through the decades to come on in here with us and drop a few nuggets on us of knowledge based on a name. I think that'd be a kind of a fun game to play.
I love it. And you heard Nancy already tell us, she said, hey, you can't move forward if you don't know where you've come from. So it's up to us, right, to continue to be that linchpin between the generations of our beautiful game and continue to grow the legacy and continue to see it grow exponentially. I mean, it's just so much fun to witness where the game is right now, but it's because of the pioneers, the unpaid pioneers, as Nancy said, to continue to grow the game the way that she has.
So great. We're both grateful to Nancy and for her time, and we definitely know we'll have her back. We can probably get her back to co-host with us if one of us can't do it. I mean, she'd be fun. She's just awesome. She's got a lot of good things going on. I mean, She leaves an indelible imprint on everyone that she gets a chance to meet. So, Christy, you and I didn't get to jump into too many topics with Nancy because you just have to tee her up, and man, she goes. And it was great. It was fun being with you, and we'll be back next week.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
Good to see you. Hoopin with Christy and Debbie. See you next week.
Love, love. There they go. Yay.